Hey guys, this is Alex, and welcome to the Two Dudes, Brews Reviews podcast. Today, we're drinking champagne and talking about the 2012 album Koi No Yokan by alternative metal band Deftones. If you like what you hear, consider subscribing to the podcast and maybe even tell your friends about us. With that being said, we hope you enjoy the show.
Get out of the grate. We're live.
What's happening, dude?
We're drinking champagne tonight.
Yeah, that was your choice. What's the rationale behind that?
You know, I recently got you on to my favorite podcast at the moment, which is Kill Tony. For those of you who have never seen it, just go look it up. It's a comedy show that they do live, and they interview the open micers after they perform a minute of stand-up comedy.
It's almost like a roast. And I think Tony Hinchcliffe, he used to write for the Comedy Central roast, apparently.
Yep. I knew I had you when JPEG Mafia came on as a guest with Danny Brown. And I knew like the Peggy would drag you in. Now, Danny Brown's like a notorious guest. I won't speak on the episode too much, but JPEG was drinking champagne. I've been thinking a lot about champagne lately because I only ever drink it on like New Year's. You know, we only ever like celebrate with champagne on New Year's and stuff. And I've been like kind of a wine guy lately, drinking a lot of wine with the lady. You know, less beer than less craft beer. I mean, when's the last time we had a craft beer besides Le Fin du Monde?
I can't remember.
I mean, I think we had a few stouts, but we've mostly just been drinking like Miller Lite.
We've kind of moved away from the stouts. I've actually been drinking wine and champagne with my wife recently, and I used to not like that stuff at all. You know, make dinner on a weekend. It's a good compliment to food and stuff.
Yeah. I love like a good glass of wine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'll make a goddamn bubble bath and get my PJs on.
Do you believe in the whole wine drunk is different than other kind of drunks?
No. I've actually I hold my own better on wine. And I know that because when me and Elizabeth went to her company Christmas party and they took like a small group of us out to dinner and they spent a shit ton of money on us and stuff with food and everything, and it was like a decadent experience. I loved it. It's like a
fancy steakhouse, isn't it?
Yes, and I mean, they ordered seafood towers, and I had like a big 12-ounce steak, $100 bottles of wine. I had at least 7 glasses of wine at dinner, and not to mention we pre-gamed at the office before we went over. I was fucking gliding through the night. Like, it was easy. I held my own. I small talked with everybody. Yeah. We drink a lot of craft beer. I hate craft beer in the winter, though. My favorite type of craft beers are sours.
It's a summertime beer.
Yeah, I like, good spring, summertime beer. Once you get into, like, the winter weather and stuff around here in Ohio, beer's not really my thing. I mean, I like to keep it relatively light.
I feel like I can get down with craft beer anytime.
Maybe I'm just going through that phase right now. You go through a rap phase, an indie phase, a rock phase. You like certain types of movies. I'm just going through a wine phase. I need to get more familiar with it anyway. I don't want to just be the beer guy. I need to be able to talk shit with the hoity-toity people my girlfriend works with,
Being the beer guy has like a negative connotation to it, I feel like a schlubby.
Yeah, you have to have like at least 40 pounds of overweight on your body.
Yes. Yeah, you got to branch out, man. I feel like nothing else has been going on lately. Got a shit ton of snow recently. That's fun for us pizza delivery drivers.
It wasn't that bad after they got the roads cleared, but we did have a day off of work, which was pretty fire. I haven't had a snow day in like 6 years, so since I've been out of high school.
That's the first time Domino's has ever shut down in the many years that I've been there.
I was there one night when they shut down like an hour early. But yeah, we've never shut down outside of like Thanksgiving and Christmas. And we used to not have Thanksgiving off. Other than that, I don't know if I talked about it on the last podcast, but I finished Dune, the first book, and the second book. And now I'm on the third one.
You got the fourth one on the way.
And boy, I got the fourth one on fucking deck. We went to the bookstore. I spent like a bando at the fucking Barnes & Noble. Some real hood shit. Yeah, it was a good time. I'm excited. I really would love to see Villeneuve do more of the Dune series, but I imagine he will end after part 2. And I know he's working on another sci-fi story after that, and I cannot remember the name of it at the moment.
Yeah, I want to see him do other stuff after Dune Part 2. He's just such a visionary director that I don't want to see him locked into that series for 5 or 6 years.
I don't think you could. First off, like the audience is so catered and niche that I don't believe that the mass audience of people would come in troves to see the sequels and stuff.
No.
Dune Messiah is like considered like the worst book out of the series. I really fucking loved it, but it wouldn't be a good movie.
Yeah.
And it literally just sets up the third book. I eagerly anticipate the second movie, and I'm sure I'll mention it a million times before it comes out. There will be plenty of things that he will accomplish that it'll be so much better than the first. It'll be so much better than the first one did.
Yeah.
The war will be fun.
Even though I wasn't like super crazy about part 1, I feel like them together, it's like the Kill Bill situation kind of, where like the first one's really good, but it feels incomplete without volume 2.
Yeah.
I just need to see them, you know, right after one after the other.
Did Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 come out like one came out one year and the other one came out the second year?
I think so. Yeah.
I was gonna say because I think
it's supposed to be a single movie.
the studio's like, nah, motherfucker.
No one's gonna sit in the theater for 4 hours.
I don't know. I might.
I mean, I would.
Oh my god, I'd sit through like a 6-hour Dune movie, dude. I swear to God, I would. I don't care. It's the same thing with like Lord of the Rings. The extended editions, they're like 4 hours long, dude, and they're amazing. I gotta get you on that one of these days.
I'm sure you'll recommend Fellowship of the Ring. That's the first one. Right?
Yeah, I was thinking about that like 3 days ago.
You probably want me to see like the second or third one, but it requires the build up.
Yeah,
And
they're really good on their own.
I'm
but
open to it.
You know what? Just we'll put it down for the record, but maybe there will come a time where we decide that we want to change up the format and we will dedicate 3 episodes to the series or something. You know what I mean?
I've thought about this before for other series and stuff.
Don't let me forget, I got to ask you a couple things off the air
Okay.
after the podcast.
I'll probably forget.
Just
so
some podcast shit.
You just got to remember.
I'll remember. I'll try. All right. We're already like 10 minutes in. Let's talk about the bullshit that I got you on this week.
Hey, it's not bullshit to me.
It's some fucking bullshit that I'd be eating with a fork and knife, my friend. It's Koi No Yokan by the Deftones. My suggestion, goddammit, motherfucker.
It's weird, man. I feel like I get 3 recommendations in a row with Swans, this, and then whatever I choose tonight.
Damn, I didn't even think about that.
I'm living the life right now,
Yeah,
man.
you are. Yeah, I mentioned on the last podcast, but I've been getting familiar with this record for quite some time. And you have more experience with the actual band itself, so I wanted to know your perspective on the album. Like, you got to listen to this shit when it came out.
Yeah. I actually bought it the day that it came out. Me and my friends, we drove to the local Target when that was still a thing in Middletown.
The Target.
And I picked up Good Kid, Mad City and this album on the same day.
At like the same year?
The same day.
Oh my God. That doesn't feel right.
That was a good weekend.
Oh my God, I bet.
I mean, it fulfilled all the things that a Deftones fan wants. I mean, it's like the perfect follow-up to Diamond Eyes. I really loved it. I played it a shit ton in the following years. Now, we can get into like our histories with the group and stuff like that. I guess I can ask you, what's your relationship with Deftones? Like, how were you introduced to them? And
you introduced me to them briefly through Rock Band 4.
It was kind of an accident.
What was that song? Cherry something.
It was either Cherry Waves or Hole in the Earth.
Both of them. Yeah, they're both on your rock. Hole in the Earth is a good fucking song.
Yeah, I love that one.
But then like the rest of that record's insane. Like Rats.
Oh, Rats.
And there's a couple others.
Pink Cell Phone.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I remember, I think I threw the record on like the day after. I had like discovered them through your Rock Band 4 catalog of songs to play. And I remember being so confused how they could be on the same record.
That's kind of a scattershot album, though. It's not a very popular one among like fans and stuff, I guess. It's usually ranked at the bottom.
Really?
Not for me, though. It's a top 3 record by them for me. I didn't mean for you to get into them, actually. I wasn't preparing myself to like recommend Deftones to you. Like, we just played the songs in Rock Band, and I was like, yeah, these are cool songs. No idea that you were going to just go check out the record.
That you'd be surprised. That's usually the case with some of the things you show me.
I didn't think in a million years this is a group that you would listen to on your own in your free time.
You know, it's been a while since I've reflected on it, but my taste in music has deepened and tremendously in the last few years. I don't want to like directly tie it to the podcast, but I would say my taste has definitely developed quite a bit. I would say probably my Spotify Discover Weekly has helped develop their algorithms are just too good, man. They're too good. They know what I want.
Damn, I wish Apple Music's curation was as good as Spotify's.
Spotify's is good, man.
Gotta support my boy Neil.
So, who?
Neil Young.
Oh, God, let's not talk about that.
By the time this podcast comes out, everybody will have forgotten about this happened.
Joe Rogan will be like on his own platform, and
no need to spend too much time on it.
Well, I will just say, as a fan of his, I don't want to say I'm a dick rider, but I will say it is a shame to see, somebody that is an integral part of my daily life to be attacked. Given the nature of being a Domino's delivery driver, you're in the car for 8 hours a day. So a nice 3-hour podcast is nice to listen to. What really fucked him is talking on public health, because
I thought it was him saying the N-word a bunch, but okay.
Well, both. Yeah.
I don't know the context, but
he had mentioned that video has been out for a long time. I guess that video had been out for a long time. He apologized, and that's all you can ask from somebody. I thought his apology was nice and sincere, and for those that don't want to accept his apology, I expect you to respect it and not demonize him further. But the world is the world. There are people smarter, and there are people more ignorant than me. They can make their own opinion. Mine doesn't mean anything. It's just my human experience. Anyway.
What a way to tackle that subject.
The Deftones, yeah.
That was beautiful. I got a question for you, though.
Yeah.
Leading up to us doing this podcast, did you check out any of the other records by them? I know you've heard some stuff off of Saturday Night Wrist.
Yeah, you showed me some shit off Diamond Eyes. Yeah, there's that one song that starts off like super bendy.
It's probably Sex Tape.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so I would just say how I got introduced recently to them was through YouTube. I don't know if I said that on the last podcast, but just for this podcast, I'll say that I have been getting a lot of memes, like Deftones memes, and I think it's like indirectly from like these memes of Christian Bale in American Psycho with his headphones on, and it's always like blank got me like just a bunch of weird shit like that. And somehow the Deftones like showed up in my like YouTube, that like meme. It's like 15 seconds long. And I don't know if you remember the show, The Regular Show off of Cartoon Network.
Never watched it, but I know what it is.
I never really got into it as much as I did like Adventure Time. Oh my God, this stuff is making me burp so hard.
I can tell.
Can you see it? Like, give me the hiccups. There was like, I guess a scene, it looks like, where Mordecai, like the blue bird, gets broken up with. And he's like laying down in this room full of like dirty laundry, like on the ground. And like Rigby, like the little raccoon, is like knocking on the door. He's like, "Hey man, are you okay in there? Like, it's okay, man." And just the song Entombed is playing. It's just like, but I was like, damn, that's a really fucking good song. So then I checked out the track and I was like, wow, this is a great track. And I was like, I need to like listen to this whole record. So then I hop in and it's like, holy shit, it's starting off a lot different than I thought it was going to with like Swerve City.
Yeah.
And then from there, I just like had it on my my library and stuff on Spotify, and I just started listening to it here and there. Yeah. So then after listening to it for a few times, I just got more familiar with the record, and I knew that I wanted to eventually recommend it. And it's probably been about 6 or 7 weeks, I would say, since I first discovered it. So I'm very familiar with it now. I finally like wrote down my notes today. You know, I thought about taking notes a little bit sooner, and I might do that for later records. I've been thinking about doing a notes upon like first listen and then notes at the final, because my opinion changes from song to song, even after I write the notes for the first time. There will be songs on this record that I'm sure I'll come back to that I'll be like, you know, I like this a little bit more now, or I understand what like the artist was trying to do, and yeah, we'll get into it. What was the other question? What was the other? Did I answer your question?
I asked you if you'd checked out their other records.
No, I have not. So
no context.
So this is the only record I've listened to like all the way through. It's besides like checking out the other one with Cherry Waves and Hole in the Earth.
I feel like my relationship with Deftones is kind of strange. I knew about them as far back as middle school, and I didn't like them at all, actually. It was before my music taste had really developed at all. I was into, like, Korn and, like, butt rock bands on the radio and shit.
Butt rock?
You never heard that before?
No, what the fuck?
Your Stains, your Seethers, your Breaking Benjamins.
Yeah, the Diary of Jane, my friend.
Deftones were a little too rough around the edges for me at the time.
What's that one song called?
Oh God.
Looking at you through the glass.
That's Stone Sour.
Yeah, Stone Sour.
Is that song that bad?
It's not terrible, but it's still a butt rock song.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go seek it out on my own.
We're playing it right after the podcast.
Oh God. Please, we're gonna listen to Saving Abel's Addicted too. We gotta get out
Yeah.
all our shit music out.
Yeah.
I didn't get into Deftones until my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, showed me the song Cherry Waves.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to preface by saying that. I started getting into them through Saturday Night Wrist and Diamond Eyes, and I feel like the love has just kept going since then. I'm one of the guys that White Pony isn't put on a pedestal for me, and that's usually considered their masterpiece.
I know that's the one that is considered number one in the lists of album rankings.
Usually. It's a good record.
I've listened to some of that. I forgot to mention that. I did check that one out. Yeah, not what I'm into.
It's a really dark and depraved album. It wasn't until Saturday Night Wrist where they started producing Chino's vocals to soar over the instrumentation the way they do on this record. I prefer that era of Deftones. They got more shoegazy, more ethereal, but they kept those chunky ass riffs in there occasionally.
I like a good mix. There's nothing wrong with a little mix of them. I guess that's a good point to make too, because that's what does the record for me. That's why I enjoy it, is because it's a good blend of the two. I don't know how many tracks there are on this, 10, 11. So I would say probably 9 out of 10 on average. Most of the songs in this album, I would say, besides maybe Goon Squad, would be the only song that doesn't have a little bit more of that ethereal quality to it.
Yeah, I agree.
Something that I really enjoyed though was Swerve City, man. You start off with 2007 ATV video game soundtrack, and it's that's okay with me.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that. I know. I think I've quoted that before, off Siamese Dream.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure I said it about the first track too. But yeah, I really like the song. I mentioned to you earlier this week. I said I think Swerve City's my shit, man. At first I wasn't really super crazy about this song. It grew on me a lot in the context of the record after multiple listenings. And yes, it is now my shit. It's a good intro track.
It wastes no time.
Yeah, it's hey, what's up?
There's not even a cymbal tap tss, tss, to get into it. Feels like you almost start mid-note. It's right out of the gates.
Yeah, it's chugging.
It's a nice little riff. Heavy as shit, really.
Yeah.
Deftones tend to play with really down-tuned guitars. I'm not talking drop D or drop C. Apparently they use drop G, which is 5 notes down than most bands typically use.
The guitar tones are very dark. They're very dirty, grimy.
But the song has no trouble whatsoever just transitioning into these super synthscapes.
They travel a lot between verse and chorus, so you can have the verse start out super hard, setting up the verse and all that, and then you're gonna hop into the chorus. It's okay, now I'm gonna be sweet and angelic music to your ears, So this track specifically, it just feels like power chords, and then it's broken up with shoegaze and dreamy quality to it. I like that shit. His voice really drives that home. It's mostly just the melody of his voice.
It's a really catchy chorus. The old millennial whoop, as I call it. And
the millennial whoop? You have said this before. What the fuck is the millennial whoop?
It's the wordless chorus thing, where you just sing a note, but don't say anything.
Whoa. Yeah, that's the shit. I didn't know that's what it's called.
I don't think normal people call it that.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah, I think nerdy musician people.
Fuck you.
This is a really brief track, though.
Yeah, it's only 3 minutes long or something like that.
Not even, I don't think. It's about 2:30. Maybe. That might be pushing it even.
Hold on, let's find out. I think it's 2:20. I know what you're talking about now. Wow.
It's not something they typically do either.
No, that's something that I was really confused by, because while reading the lyrics while listening to it, man, this song felt a lot more busy than I thought it was. Mm-hmm. It's a lot lighter on paper. The longest lines of lyrics are 4 lines of lyrics during the bridge. That's the long, it's the bridge.
That makes sense then, because the bridge is actually my favorite part of the song. I feel like it comes in with a more minor key, sinister kind of melody. I feel like the song grabs me right there. Now, you said that you thought this is a great opener. I honestly think it's kind of weird as an opening track.
Really?
considering some of the musical moments on the other tracks, like especially like some of the elongated like droney post-rock pieces that appear on stuff like Leathers and Rosemary.
I'm going to agree with you, but not in the way you think. We'll talk about it later, but something that I think is really apparent is that I don't think they know how to open or close an album. And
Like Deftones in general?
Like just, well, especially if... Jesus, we're starting early tonight, boys. It's specifically this album. Because it does feel like you've already started in the middle of the album, or like in the middle of a song with the opening track. But I don't know, in the context of this band, how you would open an album in a like way that holds your hand. So I just don't know. I'm gonna like I understand where you're coming from, but I think I disagree.
You disagree, but you agree.
I mean, I understand, but I think I disagree because I just don't know how they would do it.
And I don't know what other track on the album would be track number 1.
I think the only way that like this song could stay the opening track and it would maybe like appease that criticism of yours is that if it just took a minute to open.
Yeah.
Like lead it into that chug that starts it out.
The opening track from Diamond Eyes does the exact same thing this one does too. It just pops in with the chugging like immediately.
When they're like, you know what, you know who's gonna fucking hate this shit? Alex fucking Getter.
I like the song. It's a really good song.
Let's make sure that he has something to bitch and moan about.
I just don't want to be a total gush fest.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with being hard the whole time.
Hey man, I've had a bad day.
Hey.
I'm gonna bitch a little bit.
All right, that's fair enough. Well, bitch about T-Mobile. Don't be bitching about...
Fuck T-Mobile.
Fuck T-Mobile and their goddamn pink. Who likes pink? Nobody.
Yeah, what the hell, man?
Fucking...
What's up with that?
What's up with that? It's like the worst color.
Eh.
That's not the worst color. Worst color is like purple. Fuck purple.
Strong opinions about the color spectrum here.
Fuck purple.
Only on
sucks.
TDBR.
Purple sucks. Grape flavoring sucks. Purple doesn't look good on me. Barney's purple.
Does purple look good on anybody? Really?
Barney.
Does it look good on Barney? Might be debatable.
I think
He's a dinosaur. He gets a pass.
anything looks good on Barney. He's got the drip, my friend. Jesus Christ, we're already off the rails. Let's talk about romantic dreams, please. For the love. God, I gotta stop drinking the champagne, dude.
Whew. It goes down a little too easy, don't it?
Yep. I second that opinion. I really, really love this track.
This is one of my favorites.
I figured it would be. This track is my shit. I love the screaming on this track. Oh, man, it's so good. When he talks about, when he says, in time, in sync, tonight the stage is yours. I just like the way he screams this line. And I'm not like a huge screamy guy. I'm not like a big fan of it. I would never want to do it myself, but I appreciate when it's done well, you know? He does a good job. He has like a...
It's a melodic scream.
Yes. It's not something that you, like somebody that hates their mom does. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That hates their parents a lot. It's not like that kid that starts a band with his friends, that type of screaming. I need to show you an episode of Kill Tony where this guy does a scream for, like, on stage.
Why? What's the
Because he was in a
here?
band. He was in a scream band.
Oh, he mentions it, and he's like, well, why don't you scream for us,
And it
buddy?
was fucking terrible.
Oh, I bet.
It was fucking bad.
That's embarrassing.
And it's fucking beautiful.
Dude, it helps that Chino is like one of the most versatile vocalists in metal music, really. I feel like he can do it all, kind of.
I'll mention this later, but the way he melodically screams kind of reminds me of our boy Jared Leto from like 30 Seconds to Mars.
Oh, I know who he is.
Yeah, the guy that played the Joker in the Suicide Squad. The guy that says, "This bird is baked." That guy. You know that guy?
Bro, don't make this comparison. These are two worlds I don't want to meet.
But I'm just saying it's done well, okay?
It is.
Hey, 30 Seconds to Mars isn't that bad. You liked it at one point like the rest of us.
The Kill's an alright song.
Yes, that's a good song. The song Hurricane's good. But other than that, like, that's about it.
I think it's just Jared Leto as a person. Like, I just don't want to hear about him ever.
Ellen doesn't like him either, apparently. Do you remember that whole thing?
No.
Remember, like, the Oscars or something? It was, like, back when Twitter was blowing up, and they, like, wanted to make, like, this post the most retweeted post.
Was it where all the celebrities were taking a selfie?
And they, like, cut Jared Leto out, and it was, like, some big, stupid, dumb shit.
Was it punishment for his portrayal as the Joker?
I guess. I hope so, honestly. Somebody needs to spank that boy, and I mean in a non-sexual way. The chorus is really groovy. Like,
It
the
is.
drumming and the guitar line It's like kind of poppy, I guess in the most rock way you can think of. It kind of reminds me more of like a classic rock song, if that makes sense.
Is this like the first transition into a different riff?
No, this is like the back half of the song.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's a great chorus. It almost feels completely broken off from where the song started. Because really, this song is like 3 riff ideas just like crammed like one after the other.
And that's something that we'll talk about through the rest of the record, because it's something that becomes very prevalent on some of the rest of the tracks, which I'm here for it. Things transition very smoothly throughout the record. I don't want to make a bunch of JPEG comparisons, but it kind of has like a dirty but also melodic transition where you'll start from one idea and end on another. But they feel uniform.
It's almost kind of like prog rock-ish. This track is probably the biggest example of that, at least like in the sense that it's just 3 random ideas put together that work well. Because the other songs do have good transitions, but this one stands out as like the most prog, or like, how would I say this, like mathy almost. I think if you tried to time this out, like you're doing your 1 2 3 4 2 2, like
Keeping your tempo.
I think the song is kind of in a weird time signature. I haven't counted it out myself, but Deftones are kind of known to build riffs that sound like they're in 4/4, but they might be in like 6/8 or like 5/4 or something. But they're good at making it sound smooth.
Yeah, I really love the chorus on this as well. And it does have the old, what do you call it, millennial whoop with the I. He really holds like the I, that note, every time he starts one of the lines of lyrics. I'm hypnotized by your name. I mean, it's something we'll talk about, but the lyrics, some of them are fucking great, dude. They've got really good songwriting skills. The lyricism on some of the other tracks are like poetic as fuck.
You think so?
Yes. I think that's like a good line. I'm hypnotized by your name. Like, it kind of sounds cheesy on paper, but I mean,
he's so damn good at singing.
Yeah, it's done really well.
He sells you on it.
His voice is angelic. I love it, dude.
I've never really looked at Deftones as like a super lyrical band, but maybe because like I never read their lyrics.
It all blends very seamlessly. It's something that I noticed with my listening, and I'll actually tell you, we'll get to it eventually, but Entombed, I thought originally that song, in the context of hearing it without seeing the lyrics, I thought it was like a sad song. Like I thought, oh, this is a song about a breakup or something, or like being isolated, because it's such in minor key that you would think, and it's so shoegazy that it feels, I feel lost or upset. Yeah, they have a weird style. It's almost like paradoxical. Like it'll sound sad or like really aggressive, but then it'll be like, we're talking about how much I love you. And it's just very strange. Which I'm pretty sure that's what the title of the album means.
I might be remembering this incorrectly, but it has something to do with like the inevitable. Jesus Christ. The champagne boy.
We are having a long night.
I think inevitable is a word I have a hard time saying on a daily basis, but the champagne doesn't help. But it's like a love that is inevitable.
The premonition of love.
Premonition.
It's untranslatable. It's a Japanese phrase. It means knowing you're eventually going to fall in love with someone after you've met. It's a good track. It kind of has a little bit more of a poppy feel to it.
It could almost be a single, but I feel like the way the song changes so much, like it kind of negates the
marketability.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Like it is, but it isn't at the same time.
Well, they got me. They marketed to me. I enjoyed it.
I don't think this was like one of the singles from the record.
I don't believe so. I know Leathers is the first single.
Yeah, I know Tempest is. Rosemary might have been, but there's no way that would have been played.
No.
Yeah.
Although I can't believe this song was played. I don't know if it was ever played on any sort of radio FM station, but I fucking love this track.
They did play it on the radio.
What?
A little bit.
They probably played it like for a week.
Deftones doesn't really get that radio love.
Nah.
I remember one of the rare times in the last year or two where I was in my car without like an iPhone cord. They played like one of the songs off their newest record, Alms, and like I was baffled. But it was the only time I ever heard it.
I remember when that came out. I remember you told me, you're like,
It's a good record. It's just, I don't love it. I think this is actually the last album they came out with that I love, really.
Damn.
10 years ago. They've only had 2 records since then, so.
2012 is weird to think about. How old was I? 13, probably. I do want to talk about this track because it is one of my favorites.
It is also one of my favorites.
You know, surprisingly, I didn't think it was going to be when I first heard it, but it definitely became one of my favorites. It really throws you off because it's like ethereal and dreamy for like 12 seconds or something like that. It immediately fucks you. And I'm down for that.
I can only imagine people that are listening to this record for the first time with headphones on, because when the track gets started, some people literally might shit their pants. It's a loud fucking burst of like distortion.
And screaming.
Yeah.
It's intense. But I love that.
One of my favorite verses on the record, really.
Really?
Yeah.
Like the opening verse?
Just like the structure of it. The screaming on top of this like chugging riff that's accentuated by this like...
I'm going to go back and we're going to make an album one day and we're just going to sample all of our little acapella bullshit that we do. But yeah, like the guitar tones are super filthy. This song actually reminds me, like once it gets started, of MCR's like 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge era.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. I'll have to throw it on eventually. We can comment on it after the podcast, but something just about it felt like it could have fit perfectly. I mean, it's a little bit of a heavier version, mind you, but it sounded, the tone and just the instrumentation itself reminded me of something that would be.
I guess that record is kind of dirty, rough around the edges.
Well, like there's certain tracks where like Thank You for the Venom, Hang 'em High, stuff that has like a little bit more, I don't know, it's a little bit more grimy, I guess. But I fucking love this track.
Dude, the verses are awesome, and the chorus kicks even more ass.
Yeah.
One of the best choruses on the record, too. Doesn't get too sweet.
What about it? What about the chorus itself?
It's just dirty enough to not feel like a betrayal of the verses. Like, if it went, like, straight shoegaze on this one for the chorus, it would feel super out of place. It plays it just heavy enough. It's just the perfect balance between that light, heavy kind of dichotomy. I really like when it gets to the bridge near the end of the song. Chino kind of reiterates the chorus in a more, like, whispery tone before it blows back up again. And you think it would just, like, go straight into the chorus that... It's been played a couple times beforehand, but he just lets out this low guttural scream. It's fucking awesome, man.
I do like the way the imagery ties into it as well. He talks a lot about shed your skin, shedding your casing, showing like your inside. It's angsty as fuck.
That the show me your inside part has a nice little riff under it too. Kind of gets a little more fast paced. I love the line, cutting your ties now and forever. It's time to let go. And the way he like belts out that last word.
Yes.
Really epic.
For sure. I think that's like my favorite aspect of the band so far is his vocal delivery. I mean, I love the instrumentation, obviously, but you were right. He definitely soars over top. And I'm all about that. I love great instrumentation. And there are times on the record where I feel like I want more instrumentation. Like I want their levels to be brought up a little bit and less vocals, specifically on gauze and stuff. And we'll get there. But it's fucking beautiful. It's like transcendent. I love it. I don't want to hang on it too much. I do want to move into Poltergeist. And this is where I start having a little bit of aggravation with the record.
Ooh.
I'm not like mad.
I'm curious as to why, because I think this might be a track highlight for me too.
Okay, I fucking knew it.
Oh, you knew I'd like this one?
Yeah. First off, it's like one of the only explicit songs in the record, which you wouldn't really think about it in the context of listening so far. They say the F word. I can't say that word no more. I'll stop saying it from here on out.
I feel like I barely notice when he says it.
No, I mean it's so hidden with all the craziness that's happening.
Yeah, and his vocal delivery is kind of like so animalistic that the words seem more strung together than like individual words.
Like rapping.
In a way, yeah. Hey, and Deftones used to rap.
Really?
They were lumped in with the nu metal movement when they
like
first started.
Linkin Park?
Korn, Mudvayne.
I want to break my skull on this table just thinking about that right now.
Their first big single, 7 words.
That's crazy to think about. Dude, I can see it now that you just said it.
Dude, they used to play shows with like Korn and Limp Bizkit early in their career.
Okay, that sounds like a good time.
If you grew up in the 90s, this was probably your shit if you're an angsty little teenager, young adult.
I would go to a Limp Bizkit or a Korn concert, no questions asked.
So would I.
Just to experience the meme.
I would get drunk as fuck when I'm there.
Yes, 100%.
It's the only other way to experience that.
Lots of Modelo at the old Riverbend. Is that what we drink at, Dave?
I don't remember, honestly.
By the way, Dave's only going, he's not coming to Riverbend this year. So if you do want to see him this year, you would have to come to Noblesville. Just put it on the table.
I almost forgot you asked me to do that.
You don't have to sign the papers yet, but it is on the table. So yes, there are like good aspects about this track, but I found while listening to the album all the way through that I got really tired of the heaviness for a second. And I wanted a slow down track. Obviously it comes right after. But something with the nature of the song, how they like all the parts kind of feel like they blend together since it's such heavy distortion. Like you said, the lyrics, they're like cascading. They're like a snowball. They keep going. I kind of feel like they just kind of blend together in the context of the song and then in the context of the last two tracks. And, you know, and by the end of the song, it does feel like the train's about to derail, which is like, I respect. I wanted what comes next, but
I feel like it's fine that it's here because there's not as many moments this heavy on the record. I mean, aside from like Goon Squad, maybe.
Yeah.
Like this is the only other one that's really like that. I like that it intros with hand claps and that main riff that comes in.
I almost forgot to mention that.
It ain't guitar. It's a fucking bass. So dirty sounding.
That's fair.
You mentioned that the vocals were kind of like rapped, I guess, in a way. Somewhere between a rap and
They're
a
just
scream.
fast. They're fast. It's a fast tempo to lay them out on.
Like angry spoken word or something.
Yeah.
When it hits the chorus, I feel like the guitar moves around more on this chorus than it does on most of the other choruses on the record, really. Now, if I did have one complaint, when Chino hits that big wailing note on the chorus, it sounds a little overproduced. Like they artificially inflated his voice to sound like that. Don't know if you caught that.
I did not.
It's always bugged me a little bit. It's not necessarily a track highlight for me, though. But I do think it's really good.
God, I am so...
Are you all right there?
I am so lit up. It's hit me... I'm going to slow down. Champagne goes down so fast.
I'm not going to slow down.
You've had a long day. I get it.
This train is derailing.
I will say it does tie in well to the title of the track, being named Poltergeist. It does feel like a demonic possession. It's okay with me. It's just not one of my favorite tracks. I'm not saying it's a bad track, but I just found my brain, it needed a little bit of a slowdown.
I think it's placed perfectly in the context of the record, too. Because if you go back to Romantic Dreams, that one's like semi-mellow. Then Leathers is kind of like an ascension. And then this is like the breaking point. Because what's the next track? Entombed.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's a nice little rise and then, like...
That's a good point.
Calm after the storm moment,
That's fair. I didn't really think about it like that. I think the nature with the heavier records that we do, and we talked about it like on the last one as well, there are times when my brain checks out. But I respect that. That's a good point to make. They're the band that lives in this world. They're the band that makes this music, so they know better than I as far as the way they feel and how they want to deliver. I would just say more as a casual listener, it gets fucking intense. And it's overbearing, not in a negative way, but just in a way where my brain is too overstimulated.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Well, it's good that the next track is the one.
This track transitions into Entombed, though.
Kinda?
They blend. I wouldn't say like they lead into, like they feel like they're the same idea, but the way Poltergeist ends, it ends a little bit softer after like it feels like it goes off the rails. It's almost like dead air.
The last thing you hear is the instrumentation drops out in Poltergeist, and like Chino's still singing the last note, so he's kind of like wailing, and then like he lets go of the note, and then just Entombed starts all of a sudden. This is a great track.
Yeah, this is like one of my favorite intros on a track as well. It's beautiful and bendy and dreamy. I mentioned earlier, it almost sounded more like a breakup song to me than it did like a love song. It's such a unique way to tackle a song about love, I feel like. I think the lyrics are fucking beautiful, though. It's a very manly way to describe, affection, in my opinion. Talking about, I'm a little bit slower to comprehension here, but hold on.
You're all right, man.
From the day you arrive, I've remained by your side, in chains entombed. Yeah, that's fucking good.
The song has really short verses.
Yes, it does.
Now that I think about it.
And the chorus. The chorus is...
It's just like one word, isn't it?
4, 5, 6, 7.
What does he say?
Placed inside, safe and sound, shapes and colors are all I see.
It seems so much more substantial because he like really milks the fuck out of the long notes.
Oh, they're so mute. Oh my God, they're beautiful.
Not a complaint whatsoever. It's a great performance by Chino.
It's so weird, and they can almost go kind of missed, but like after the chorus, before the next verse, the song is broken up by like these little fuzzy guitar notes.
Or like the percussion drops out and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what this reminds me of? You know on the track Runaway by Kanye, where he has those like kazoo sounding solo parts where like there's no percussion, it's just going like it's kind of like
My
that.
favorite part of that track. Yeah.
This reminds me of that a whole lot. Not saying that Deftones is influenced by Kanye, but
God, that's a good fucking song. You know, that was one of the first records we did.
it was the first record we did. No longer available.
No, it's not. There's also another Two Dudes Brews and Reviews podcast out there with a similar cover art, and you'll find it there. I believe they're still up. I don't think they ever took them down, even though I requested it to be.
The Kanye one's the only one that's still up there. Manchester is gone. I think one day I might go back and like re-edit those episodes and like put them up as like a throwback. I don't know.
Our 10-year anniversaries.
We were very early in our progress as podcasters.
It was bad. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was rough. Hey,
We didn't know what we were doing yet.
we started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Not sure if we know what we're doing tonight either.
We've had a long day, both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this track though. Not a whole lot to say because it's kind of uniform. There isn't a bunch of jumping around from idea to idea. It's consistent throughout. It's like a single track. You can market the shit out of this song.
Way better use of like the synthesizers. Frank Delgado on the turntables. Sometimes on the turntables. He plays synthesizer and like tape loops and shit occasionally. Really shines on this track. Definitely the most like shoegaze and dream pop inspired. This track is the token ballad soft track of the album. Almost every Deftones album up until this point has had this. White Pony had Teenager. Their self-titled had Anniversary of an Uninteresting Event. Like Diamond Eyes had Sex Tape. You know, Cherry Waves from Saturday Night Wrist. It's a formula that I really like, that they always put the one really sweet track in there. Just a nice contrast between all like the chaos and stuff that you get everywhere else on the record. Honestly, I really, really love this song, but it's like one of my least favorites of those token soft tracks that you get among their records.
It can easily be overplayed, like in the context of just the listening experience. Like I could easily play this track over and over again and wear it out, no problem.
And that's what I did in 2012 when it came out.
Fair enough.
I feel like I haven't done that with the other ones quite as much. It's also like, it's just so simple. I don't know. It's easy to tire of, really.
It's a beautiful song, though.
Yeah. The perfect track to like show somebody that's never heard Deftones before. This would be a great track to show them.
But then they'll be like, why did you show me that? I'm like, they don't do this ever. It was kind of like my introduction to Radiohead. I started off with In Rainbows, but then it was like, I listened to a few tracks. Like, show me like Nude, I think was like the first song. And then I think like Weird Fishes and stuff like that. And then I listened to the record by myself all the way through. And it started off with like, 53 step.
15 step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm like, what is happening? I can't do this. God, I've come such a long way.
What's the next track in the
Graphic Nature?
Honestly, this is my least favorite song on the album.
Why is that?
I think it's kind of plain and undynamic,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
I can see the undynamic. You know, I didn't know what the song was about, but I'm pretty sure it's like either about sex or like a secret or something. It feels like kind of vulgar. I mean, it's called Graphic Nature. Just an idea as far as lyricism goes. It goes, leave your drape open, let me inside. Guess I'm confused, more or less. Shed some light and tell me your secret. How are you trained? I promise you I can keep it. Go on, explain. Which I assume it's about a secret. But then he's like, tell me how you do it.
Tell me how you do it.
Yeah, and just talking about, I'm aware of your demons that you've tucked away. I like to watch you release them. Every time you do it, I'm surprised. Tell me how you do it every time it takes my knees out. Like, what? What does that mean? Takes your knees out. Like,
You're getting tired from the sex.
Getting a little weak in the legs type of deal. I mean,
It's not a stranger to Deftones in general. You know, they do this a lot.
yeah, every
on past
time
records.
you do it, I'm on fire. I'm on fire.
How do you feel about this track?
I mean, it definitely ties into the record. You have like your dirty I guess like the guitar tone to me, it's like super grimy, but almost kind of feels metallic and like clingy.
Super dissonant.
Mm-hmm.
Like two notes that shouldn't be played together, but they work for some reason.
Yeah, like the guitar tone, the way this track starts out feels like, almost feel like they're playing out of key or like notes that shouldn't play together.
Yeah.
But then they kind of get buried underneath the rest of the instrumentation that gets brought in. So it kind of goes unnoticed after that. But I would just say like the guitar tone itself feels very some fucking Fat Albert. You're playing on the goddamn trash cans and stuff, you know?
What?
You know what I'm talking about? You ever seen Fat Albert?
No, I know what it is. I just never thought these two worlds would meet.
Me neither. But this is how my brain works. I fucking hate it.
Well, I'm glad your brain works that way because I enjoyed that.
One thing I will say about the track, and then we haven't talked about this at all, is the drumming. I thought was super unique on this track.
Yes.
Because the drumming itself, the root is like the cymbals and the hi-hat, and then like the song will have runs to like the tom and the snare during like a little bit more of intense part of the songs, but the root is like the cymbals and the hi-hat, which I respect the fuck out of.
Super off kilter.
Mm-hmm. And I think that goes tied in well with the nature of the guitar tones. They sound otherworldly from any other guitar tone I've heard. It's very bright and heavy at the same time. Like the gains turned all the way up on your ukulele. So weird.
Your ukulele?
I don't know.
I feel like that's as far as I could go when it comes to positive things to say about this one.
It does get like really jammy at the end, I think. And then the track can kind of get hidden in the rest of the mix. So
if it tells you anything, when I went to go listen to this for the first time in many years, actually, I had completely forgotten that this was on here. It's like not a track I would ever single out. I would never like go to Apple Music and click track 6, Graphic Nature. You know what I mean?
Really?
I don't know, man. It kind of feels like a throwback in a way to like their like pre-White Pony albums. Really skeletal.
Skeletal.
Just bare bones.
Like
you know?
Skeletor off of He-Man?
That's a good impression.
Thank you. I think anybody can do that.
I can't do impressions worth a shit. It's like the same tempo. It never gets super heavy. It never gets super melodic. Chino's voice never really soars on this one.
That's also true.
Kind of stays in the same register for the most of it. Mm-hmm. The chorus isn't that catchy. Definitely the weaker one for me on this record.
That's fair. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but I'm pretty neutral about this track.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it or anything. I actually don't think I really hate any of the songs on this record so far.
Piss break.
After a slight delay, you and I are back on track here, supposedly. We'll probably derail a few times, but we're on track number 7, Tempest.
Won't be long before we derail again.
No, I'm sure.
But yes. Austin, how do you feel about this track, man? How does it stack up against the other songs?
This track sounds like a song you would play in a movie, John Wick or Nobody. It's like the track you would play before like the final shootout, like the gearing up. We're gearing up for the final climax shootout.
Like slow motion shots of like putting the bullet in the chamber.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I don't know why the fuck I thought about that, but this track like opens up with like a little synth beat and then like it immediately like drops out. It's a weird way to start the track.
Reminds me of like that it's what they call when they like do like SOS signals. What's that called?
Morse code.
Morse code.
Dot, 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 dash, dot, dot, dot.
Yeah. It is a cool way
we were
to...
kind of in sync right there. I don't know if you noticed that.
Were we?
I'd probably not. Go ahead.
You're like 2 seconds behind everything. With your,
it's called alcohol. It's
yes.
Like taking a hammer to the front of your brain.
I feel like this one feels way more like an obvious single as compared to Leathers. Way more friendly.
Yes.
Never gets too heavy. I do remember this playing on radio back in the day. This one got played more than Leathers, believe it or not.
I believe it.
Personally, like as it falls within this album, not really one of my favorites, but not one of my least favorites either.
One of those neutral tracks.
Yeah. Like it better than Graphic Nature. I will say that.
I like Graphic Nature more than this one.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I think this one has a way better, memorable melody.
I guess this song, according to this, is about the end of the world, which makes sense in the context of take out the stories they've put into your mind and brace for the glory as you stare into the sky. They could have put this song in Don't Look Up. Off the record, we were just talking about that movie.
We talked about that for a while, really.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like pretty neutral on this track. I don't really care a whole lot about it.
Just doesn't feel like there's much of a climax at any point. Just like Graphic Nature, man. It's got that same tempo problem. It's not very dynamic. I think the only thing that really makes it stick apart or stand out from other tracks is that Morse code like synth line that appears every once in a while. And they do bring it back for the last half of the track, but it seems like it's not a track that Deftones would write.
Well, that's kind of my thing, because I did say it does feel like a action movie soundtrack song. I kind of disregarded it in my head as like giving a shit about it. I kind of put it in like a lower caliber of the record. It's not a bad track. It just, like you said, it's not very dynamic. I don't want to like harp on it too long.
I'm not like shitting on it. I think it's an average song.
Very forgettable in the context of the rest of the songs on the record.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad track.
And maybe that's just me. I kind of like zany, off the wall Deftones a little bit more than like this middling radio rock kind of sound that they're going for on this one.
That's fair. I'm the same way.
I feel like there is a moment when like the Morse code comes back in and they kind of explode back into the song. But the fact that I can't remember it at this moment really might say a whole lot about how like impactful it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Would you like to move into
Gauze? I like this track a lot.
I think this is the sleeper hit of the album.
I agree.
I think this could have been a single over one of the other two, really.
This is like easily one of my favorite tracks. Well, first off, I just really like the way he soars and screams over the track, and there's a guitar line littered throughout during the verses, and it's such a small little, less than 2 seconds, and it is one of the most sinister, cascading little guitar licks that I've ever heard, and I fucking love it. And I want it to be louder and more apparent all throughout the track. And it comes through plenty of times, but every time I hear it, it's like so quiet you can almost miss it.
You actually had to direct my attention to it. Me, who's been listening to this record for 10 years, never noticed it was there.
And it's badass. I want it to be louder. I want people to see it.
I think the reason I like this song so much, and that it's like one of my track highlights, is that this is the one that reminds me the most of Diamond Eyes. The riff, it doesn't get too mathy or like heavy. It is really just like a chord kind of played in a pretty simple manner. It's simple enough. The chorus is so fucking catchy. Probably the best.
It's my favorite chorus in the whole record.
It's the best chorus on the album by far, competing with Leathers, but I think this one's edges it out a little bit.
I literally have it written down. Easily one of my favorite choruses. I
think another cool thing about it is that it begins with this random metal riff that almost feels disconnected from everything else.
I like that a lot.
And it doesn't necessarily feel disconnected. It's kind of weird that I said that, but because they bring it back at the end and they jam on it.
Yes, the last minute of the song. They like just drone it out, you know?
Yeah. And it gets a lot heavier at the end too. They kind of build that tension. I really like during the verses between like the guitar hits, there's like this submarine ping.
Yes,
Ding!
I almost forgot about that.
The smallest little detail, but it's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we touched a lot about what I like about the song. It is a sleeper hit.
They've never played it live.
What?
Ever.
We're going to go see them, by the way.
What's the name of the venue? The Andrew
J. Brady
Icon Center.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be in Cincinnati in May, supported by Gojira, which is a very beloved metal band. I'm not into them personally, but it'd be cool to see them.
Are they opening?
Yes.
Okay.
I've seen Deftones before.
Really?
Live.
How was that?
They were supporting Incubus at the Riverbend Music Center.
Who the fuck is Incubus?
You know who Incubus is?
No.
The song Drive. Whatever tomorrow brings, I'll be there. Whatever
Stop
tomorrow.
That right fucking now.
I like that song. Incubus is actually a good band.
It sounds like a fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers song.
Oh, damn. You're kind of right, aren't you? That makes too much sense. They're a good band, though.
Okay.
But it wasn't a very good show because Deftones played during the day.
What?
Like, it's like the,
yes,
it's the summer. The opening band comes on at like 7 o'clock. It's still daylight.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking sun beaming down on you. I was drinking Yingling and had the worst cotton mouth in the world. And
you're setting the tone, right? I could see it. And you're having like a heavy ass band come in. You're like, God, no.
And I feel like because they were the opening band, they played the heaviest set of material with very little breaks for like melodic stuff. The heaviness, the sun, we were like beat down before Incubus even came on. I think going to see them in an indoor arena, them headlining, it would be a lot better.
Yeah.
You know, they sounded good when we saw them, but God, dude, it was like just a bad circumstances coming together.
Hell yeah.
But that'll be exciting though. I look forward to that.
Another favorite track coming in, Rosemary.
Track highlight for sure.
When I first heard it, I was like, this is a Tool song. This is a Tool rip right here. Actually, I didn't really think about it, but the song is talks extremely vividly about almost a psychedelic trip.
Is that what it's about?
Here, I'll show you. I'll show you. I'm going to fucking educate the shit out of you.
Like, I know the lyrics to the song, but like I've never really pieced that together.
At least from my interpretation, there's no sound but the engine's drone, our minds set free to roam. Time shift, we discover the entry to other planes. Our minds bend, our fingers fold, entwined we dream unknown. And then they talk about we slow down as the engines stall. I'm assuming like the drug has ended.
Yeah.
And then our eyes catch and sink, explode.
This has to be because personally, I never look into the lyrics of Deftones, really. They're more of a feel band. Like, I etch out from the music how I feel about it. That's a good point, though. I think you're right.
This is going to tie in well with the point I'm trying to make is you're saying, I don't think about it like that. I only just feel the song. I think that ties in because I think this is probably one of the most tasteful songs about a psychedelic trip I've ever heard. That type of, when artists sing about tripping out and shit, it can become
super corny.
Yeah. And kind of has like a, oh my God, how many people do you know that wear fucking Grateful Dead shit and it becomes like a part of their identity, but they've never taken psychedelics in their entire life, but they just fucking bump a fucking Grateful Dead sticker on everything they own, along with their fucking Spitfire and fucking Santa Cruz fucking bullshit that they put all over their shit. You know what I mean? Just like a skater aesthetic, and then Grateful Dead is like tied on to like a youth culture recently. All these fucking kids are becoming deadheads, but they've never tripped once in their life. It becomes a part of their fucking...
These fucking posers, man.
Yeah, man. Fucking dumb.
It must be tasteful because I didn't even notice that that's what they were trying
and
to
that's what I'm getting at. Yeah. And I didn't know that until I like looked at the lyrics. You know, you just feel out the song. The song could have been about anything.
Yeah.
It's just a good fucking song. It feels good to listen to. Yeah, I mean, the song's bendy and fuzzy and mathy.
Super multifaceted. For the intro, it's like really a long, just like you said, bendy and fuzzy, clean guitar. Takes a while before like the riff really kicks in. Mm-hmm. And when the riff does kick in, it's like this super slow, plodding stoner riff. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's really appropriate that they like didn't get too intense on this one. It's right that they kept this one at the same tempo, the same dynamic. Mm-hmm. It's the one time that works on the record.
Yeah.
Because the feel on its own is just so unique that it works. Great vocal melody. Fucking love it.
Shake my head in agreement. Sorry.
Where are you tonight?
I'm fucking in that song right now. My mind is somewhere else. My mind's set roam free. I
always found it weird that there's like a ad-lib vocal after each line he sings, where it's like it's pushed back in the mix a little bit, but it's like a yell, a scream, kind of odd choice, I think. Not that it takes away from the song, but I feel like it didn't need to be there.
Yeah, like it's almost not loud enough. Like the ad-lib is there, but you don't even notice it's there.
Yeah. If he was going to do that, it should be like at the front and center, and it should have like its own part like dedicated to it maybe. Mm-hmm. But in the background, it's a little odd. Mm-hmm. I think the song shifts a few times. You finally hit this chorus where it feels like things open up a whole lot.
You end up somewhere where like we didn't really start at. It's like consistent, but it's a bit different.
One of the fuzziest moments on the record by far, where he's talking about like the open sky or the endless sky. Can't say it's like the catchiest chorus, but like the feel it gives you just feels like the sound kind of surrounds you. You know what I mean? It's a very encompassing kind of feeling. Mm-hmm. Track end's really weird though. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you'll agree with that or not. A fat chunky riff just plodding along for like a minute.
Yeah, it does kind of end weird. I'll give you that.
Kind of felt like with a slight tweak, it could have been extra cool. Like it introduces that chunky riff at the end, and like you feel like it should like build into something, but it kind of just like stays on this like
Yes.
before dropping out into this ambient drone.
It feels like it's trying to wrap up some of the ideas that are laid out in the rest of the record, like a little bit of a motif. I'm not mad about it, but yes, it's there.
Every time that my wife plays this in the car, she changes the track as soon as it gets to that
starts
part
with that,
right
really?
there. It kind of makes sense it'd be a little awkward because it's the first time they've like attempted this, really.
She should be all about that since she likes Dance Gavin Dance now.
You would think so.
Yeah.
Although, do they really do that? A lone chunky guitar just going forever.
Oh, they go
Yeah,
all
they're-
over the fucking fretboard, and then
Yeah.
and then it's like, hey, I love you, like beautiful melodic screaming, and then it's like, again, we're gonna fucking make a run all over the fretboard.
I feel like their shit is like straight to the point almost
Oh,
all
yeah.
the time.
Dude, their songs blend together so much. I have no idea what the fucking title of the song is, but I can sing every fucking lyric there is about that. Like, their music blends so much to me. All of their album art is exactly the fucking same. It's like one big discography that I have no idea where I'm at, but I know what this song is, and I don't know what it's called.
Well, it doesn't help that their song titles are like Paul Blart, the Mall Cop, and the Adventures of Sonic and shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Downtown Mountain Battle Part 2 and fucking Son of a Robot and Robot with, it's just like a bunch of these Part 3s and 4s and Turn Off the Lights. I'm watching Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Dude, Goon Squad, my least favorite track.
Really?
Like, I hate this song. Oh, I don't hate it, but
I think this one's really cool.
really, I think the song lacks a lot of character for me.
That's how I feel about Graphic Nature, kind of.
We're on a different page, you and I. We are not in sync today.
What is it about the track that you don't like, though?
I just thought it was kind of fucking boring.
Dude, the verse on this one is like white knuckle fury.
You know, it's funny you say that, white knuckle. I've never heard that term in my life, but it's littered throughout the Dune books.
Really?
It's like to describe when someone's very aggravated. Like a character will notice when someone's holding back tension. It's weird that you said that. I've never heard that fucking term before in my whole life.
Really?
Yeah, reading is like opening up my vocabulary and terminology, and it sucks.
Yep, I just associate it, like you said, yeah, with like anger and stuff. Balling up your fist and like just feeling fucking mad like I was on hold with T-Mobile for 2 hours.
Thank you, Mr. Getter.
So you find it boring. I find that kind of surprising.
I don't know. I really don't enjoy either of these last two tracks. And I don't know why that is. We'll talk about the next one in a minute, but Goon Squad, I was ready to check the fuck out. Like, honest to God.
I think the verses definitely overshadow the chorus by like a pretty wide margin. Because you're getting those fat down-tune riffs, Chino screaming his fucking heart out. And then like when the chorus hits, it's really mild. It's not like melodic or anything. It feels almost like a 80s punk chorus more than anything. And I know
yeah.
like Deftones is super influenced by 80s bands like Bad Brains and shit. And like kind of seems like something they would do. I think the track transitions from Rosemary into this song pretty well.
Yeah.
Takes the droney part from Rosemary and like kind of starts that way. Mm-hmm. It just feels like there's like a continuity between the two songs. I could see why it'd be one of your least favorites. It's not one that I came around to until semi-recently.
Yeah, I think you made some good points.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This is not going to appear on many people's top Deftones tracks or anything. It's not a favorite of mine, but I think it could use a little bit more credit maybe.
Okay. So a sleeper track that you enjoy.
Yeah.
A deep cut that I'm not really into. Okay. Something I wanted to talk to you about was this song in particular, was What Happened to You.
The weirdest, most anticlimactic finish to this kind of record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was really frustrated. Again, I said they didn't know how to open or close a track, or close an album. This track sounds so removed from any other song on the record. Like, the sound itself does not fit with any other track, and I was extremely frustrated by that. All the instrumentation has felt extremely unique and uniform throughout the whole record. Like, nothing really feels out of place as far as instrumentation goes. Like, there was little, you mentioned earlier about a submarine sound. I mean, they do like synthy stuff, but they did it in Entombed, and then, You know, they use it as part of like a beat, and like they're these small little parts. So they're kind of like littered throughout. All the guitars, all the drumming is relatively the same. You know, different tempo changes, and you have your clean and your heavy distortion, your shoegaze, and your like heavy metal. But then you have this track where it feels like some fucking Ocean Avenue yellow card bullshit. That wasn't a great.
That's definitely an odd comparison.
It feels like a California rock song. It felt kind of watered down, more of like a youthy song. There's a use of like a wooden block, like they hit a wooden block. And I'm like, that wasn't anywhere to be found in the rest of the record. And you're going to use this to end the record. And I understand like in the context of the song, what it's about. I mean, I know it's to reference like one of the band members that was in a coma. It's their band. They can do whatever they want. And I can understand that's something they want to tackle on an album. But this track fucking sucks.
I wouldn't say it sucks, but it definitely lacks any flavor. The tune itself is not very good.
I mean, don't get me... Okay, it doesn't fucking suck. But in the context of the record, it fucking sucks.
Yes.
Like, they could do more stuff like this, because it almost felt... Like, with the block hits, I'm like... It felt like a Radiohead song. Something out of OK Computer, or some of the more up-tempo tracks on In Rainbows. 15 Step, or...
Some other weird electronic track.
Or Jigsaw Falling Into Place.
Yeah.
Just some shit like that. It was a little bit more up-tempo.
I think the wooden block thing, like percussion-wise, would have been fine if the payoff at the end was worth it. Mm-hmm. Like if the track went anywhere. After years of being familiar with this record, for some reason... This one goes in one ear and out the other for me.
Yes.
Like sometimes it'll end and I'm like, oh, like that was the whole song. Like
yes.
I found myself like I had stopped paying attention 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Every single time I've listened to the song, it's the exact same experience.
Yeah.
And it's the weirdest fucking thing. Because this is Deftones we're talking about. Poltergeist, Leathers.
Yeah.
Like they fucking grab you by your shirt collar and punch you in the face most of the time. Just to end on such a weird anticlimactic note. I mean, to be fair, I like some of the glistening guitars that are like on the track, but they don't have any memorable melody to them. And I hate to sound like we're shitting on them so hard because we've been pretty positive up until this point.
No, but I was really pissed.
You're pissed?
I was pissed.
You're pissed about this very soft track?
Yeah, I don't know. I really like a closing track to feel like amazing.
Well, yeah.
And they kind of dropped the ball here for me, okay? And we've talked about it a million times. Like, closing and opening tracks are a big fucking deal.
Yes, they are.
And I just kind of felt let down. In the context of the record, I really liked a lot of the songs in the record. I mean, they were like neutral songs I really didn't care about, but like they fit in the record and they help you glide through easily to the next highlight. And then they're just like, all right, we had fun. Now I'm gonna serve you some hot shit. Let's wrap this bitch up, you know. And I don't know. I kind of got frustrated by that.
Do you think the song would have been elevated if it was somewhere else in the track list?
No,
you don't think so? I think it would have been fine if it was like the centerpiece, like in the very middle, and they made it more of like an interlude. Mm-hmm. Like cut it down to a minute and like
a track 7 or 8 or something like that.
Yeah, show all the ideas in 1 minute. Make it transition into something more exciting. As a closing track, it's so strange. I don't think every album needs to end on this big, loud, climactic note. Sometimes ending on like a somber note's really cool if the songwriting is good. Mm-hmm. This is just a nothing song.
We talked about it on Siamese Dream. They could have ended the track, like the album with like Luna, and I'd have been happy too. That's a soft song for like a heavy record, but it also has like your shoegaze moments and stuff as well.
That album does end on Luna, doesn't it?
I don't think so. Hold on.
I can't remember.
Let's find out.
It doesn't end on Sweet Sweet, does it?
I think it does. We're having a Siamese Dream moment here.
Callback.
Because the album structure is very similar. Dude, the album structure is so similar. Yeah, it ends on Sweet Sweet.
Silverfuck?
Geek USA, Mayonnaise, Space Boy, Silverfuck, Sweet Sweet, and Luna. Okay, it does end on Luna. All right.
Yeah,
right.
Luna's a good closing track for that one.
God, I'm ass backwards today, dude.
Your bass backwards.
Speaking Pig Latin, boy. Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of got frustrated. Also, because I never felt like this idea was expressed in any other way on the rest of the record. So I just kind of got frustrated by that. Well, I'm not that mad at him, all right? It was a good... I know like this album is considered like a little bit more of one of their safe records in the context of their discography.
I would say so. Yes.
This feels like a good introduction to the band for me, though.
In your opinion, what would be the best closing track then?
I think Rosemary would be a great track to end on.
That'd probably be my answer too.
Even with like that droning at the end, heaviness, I'd be down with it.
I think that'd be the perfect way to end it out.
I do too.
I think it would be even better if Swerve City, as we said earlier, had an intro like that. Like, so the album begins and ends kind of like on the same note. That'd be really cool.
A loop, man. The loops are fun, kind of like Death Cab.
Yeah, ends and begins the same way. Deftones have kind of always had that problem. The final track on each of their records is almost never in like my top 3 or 4. Even Diamond Eye is my favorite record by them. The weakest track is the last one.
God, why do they do that?
I don't know, man.
Why, dude?
They're like 9 records in. They haven't figured it out yet.
It's a good fucking album. Like, don't get me wrong. It's a good album. But I was very frustrated with the ending. I loved a lot of songs on this record. A lot of songs.
Yeah.
My highlights are Rosemary, Gauze, Entombed. I like parts of Graphic Nature. I mean, Poltergeist wasn't my favorite, but Romantic Dreams and Leather. I mean, Swerve City is a great intro track. You start off like straight into it, but I still think it's a good intro track. Yeah, just like the last 2 tracks kind of felt like to me.
I feel like we have the same highlight tracks.
You liked Poltergeist a lot more than I did.
Yeah.
I liked Graphic Nature more than you did, but you liked Tempest more than I did. It's above average. It's an above average record. I enjoyed a lot of it.
I'd say it's more than above average.
Yeah.
Like, it's really good to me, but I'm also like a Deftones I'm a Deftones fanboy. But really, this record's like my 4th favorite by them.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have a list?
I go Diamond Eyes, Saturday Night Wrist, White Pony, and then this probably. And then Gore is their worst. Or their debut. I can't do the rap metal shit.
Yeah, that's garbage.
I almost like never count a band's debut in a way.
My Chemical Romance's debut is, no one even knows what that record, I don't even know what it's called.
Ooh.
You know what
something
it is.
Bullet.
And it's like a weird cover. Looks like shit.
Radiohead's first album was like fucking ass.
Yeah.
So I never even count it when I rank them.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a great record. 8 out of 10.
I think I'm going to go the same as you. I think 8 out of 10 is really fair for this.
I respect the shit out of this band. I enjoyed a lot of it. I'm glad I got around to it before you even recommended it to me. This is definitely a part of my library now, for sure.
Stuck in your rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Good, man. Do you think that you'll like explore them further?
Yeah, for sure. I want to listen to White Pony and Diamond Eyes. I've heard a lot of that other one, fucking Cut Wrist, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, Cut Wrist. We can go with that.
Wrist cutting shit. This is a good introduction of my own doing here.
I'm really glad that you recommended it. It was a nice surprise to feel like you did my recommendation for me.
Now you're going to do mine for me with Kung Fu Panda 2, right? You would say yes. I'd be like, that's okay. Okay.
Before we hop into the recommendation section, I gotta pee.
Piss break.
I eagerly anticipate it. I have it written down 2 things that I think you're doing.
Yeah, you're trying to guess.
I don't want to take your fire away. I'm probably wrong. I have a good feeling that I am, but if I'm right, it'll be badass.
It's been a while since you've guessed what I'm thinking of, but in the past, you've been really good at reading me.
In our earlier days, you do a lot better job of throwing me for a loop.
Usually when I come to the podcast, I have this like big, pretentious, badly rehearsed spiel that I'm going to give you. But today, I don't have one.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave you off. I've got 2 words, and they're not suck or it. Quentin Tarantino. Been watching a lot of his movies recently.
Yep. You're doing the pretentious rant right now.
Well,
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
the lead up is usually my worst part. I'll admit that. As of yesterday, I watched Kill Bill Volume 2, and I think that was the last movie that I haven't really seen by him, except for Death Proof, which I almost don't count. It's like a B grindhouse movie, like not the usual finely tuned kind of thing that we get by him. I so badly wanted to do Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's my favorite movie by him. I like adore that movie. It's so much fun. But you've seen that.
Yes, I have.
You've seen a lot of his movies.
We've talked a lot about it.
Yeah. One day, I mean, like, I hope to cover most of his movies.
Yeah,
really.
for sure.
They all have their own flavor. That's really fun.
For sure.
But I want to go back to where it all started. His first movie. You got it written down. You knew what I was gonna do.
I fucking knew it.
That's fine. I'm glad you knew.
I own this movie and I've never seen it.
I watched it for the first time. I haven't said the name yet. We're doing Reservoir Dogs. Watched this movie for the first time about 2 weeks ago, and it's really different from what you get later on in his career, but the flavors are still there. They're like peeking out, you know.
Hell yeah,
amateur filmmaker kind of like finding his voice. I think it's something you'll really like.
I've been waiting for an excuse to watch this movie, so hell yeah, dude. I'll just say that I'm a fucking genius, and I read you like a book.
Yeah.
But you did lay it out for me pretty well. I knew it was coming. I knew you'd watched Kill Bill, and we had talked a lot about Tarantino in the last few weeks. Yeah, I'm excited. I've wanted to do like a mob movie for a while, and I've been really wanting to watch like Casino and like a bunch of these old, 90s gangster movies and shit. This will help scratch that itch. I mean, I was literally looking for a way to watch Casino the other night, like on a streaming service. I wanted to watch a movie like this desperately. This will be really nice. It's been a while since you've recommended a movie, right?
I can't remember the last movie I recommended. It
you
was
did
before Death Cab.
You did Swans and then Death Cab.
Whatever we did before, like Kung Fu Panda. Zodiac? Was that the
Yeah,
last
I
movie
think that was
I
the last one.
recommended?
Mm-hmm.
That seems like it was forever ago.
Yes, it does.
It is a mob movie, but it's way different. It's got a great cast, man. Steve Buscemi, Michael Madsen, Harvey Keitel. I just can't wait till you watch it, man.
Yeah,
I think we'll have a lot of fun talking about it.
I'll probably watch it 3 or 4 times, dude. I already own it. I'm going to watch it tomorrow. Or I'm going to watch it on Thursday. I'm off Thursday.
Fuck yeah,
we'll fucking
dude.
do it, dude. Man, we went a lot shorter than I thought we were going tonight. But we did all right. But yeah, it was fun, man. It was a good record. We can play a little bit of it here in a minute. We're going into Reservoir Dogs. Finally get to tackle Tarantino in the podcast. It's going to be a good fucking time.
Fuck yeah, man.
Tell these bitches bye.
Adios.